Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I am really, really excited about this conversation because these three women are amazing and stepped up when I put this inquiry out, just this general, like, hey, I need help. I need to talk to some people about people pleasing for my book. And they are the three brave women who stepped up and said, yes, I want to have a conversation with you about people pleasing, about my experiences. And they're just amazing women. So first of all, I just want to go around so you guys can introduce yourselves, just a little blurb about who you are, maybe how I know you, briefly what you're up to right now in life, and then we will get going on with talking about people pleasing. So who wants to go first?
I guess I can go first since I'm right next to you in the camera there. Hi, I am Angela Barber. I know Janice from acting, actually. We did a class together with Kirk Boutz. And I've seen you I guess you came to see a movie that I was in, First Date, and I've talked to you. I've been connected with you on Facebook. We have mutual friends. And then I saw what you were doing, and then you and I have talked a little bit about your book and what you're up to and what I was up to. And right now I just finished my master's degree in mental health counseling. Previously, I was working in the field of special education for many years and decided to go back to school to get my counseling degree because I saw the need with children and adolescents, a great need. So I work at a treatment center in Placerville, working with children and adolescents. And I'm also continuing my acting journey. I just got booked for a short film in the Bay Area, and a couple other things going on. So I'm really excited about life and taking it a day at a time and enjoying what's there. Grateful.
Woo! Thank you, Angela. And I can't wait for you to share your journey because it truly is amazing and inspirational. And to see, I just love like the before and afters. You know, I was stuck here and this was my life. And I've made my way slowly but surely, and I'm here now. And you have one of those amazing stories. So I cannot wait to talk more about that. Thank you
Thank
so much. And whoever wants to go next.
I can go next. I'm Julia Fretwell, and I met Janice at a speakers meeting about 11 years ago, I think. And we did a few events together. And since then, Janice has accomplished so much, I can't even believe it. And I have gotten into stand-up comedy. So for the last 10 years, I've been a stand-up comedian and been a people pleaser my whole life. And so this hit home when I heard that you were doing this. I really wanted to be a part of it. And I tore my rotator cuff completely in September and had to have surgery. And that's now started my journey to saying no to things. It's a forced no. So I'm learning. I've read the whole book and it's wonderful, and I can't wait to hear more about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Yes, and I can't wait to talk about the chapter that you're in and what's going on right now, because you're in a little bit of that transition process and learning and growing as we all are. And so I love that even though it's a forced no, your eyes are fully wide open now and you're making those changes. And it's like, it literally gives me goosebumps, and I love it. And I admire you very, very much for making those changes. Okay, Megan, you're
I hope everyone likes I guess they're Christmas lights, but they made me really happy when we signed on today. And I'm like, this really pleases me right now. So I'm going to leave those lights on there. So hello, I'm Megan Morgan. I am an author and a yoga teacher. I'm also a mom. And I met Janice I want to say it was 8 or 9 years ago now when I first moved to Sacramento, and we were at a kind of a yoga in the park event that we both taught at, and I met her as in the sense of being another yoga teacher, and so we often swapped and taught each other's classes and remained friends. And similar to you, we met up on Facebook. I was really eager to make new friends, moving to a new city and a new country. I moved here from Canada. And so I've just loved going along this journey with Janice. We've both been writing and publishing books. And when she posted about this topic, it was like something leaped out of my chest, like I wasn't even typing with my own fingers, because I was like, yes, I definitely have something to say about that. Mostly that it's a lifelong process and practice. And I sort of feel like we're all there in some way, shape, or form in life. And it's a continuous journey to figure out how to break yourself out of old patterns, which, you know, as you say in the books, sometimes it's like a traumatic or behavioral thing you experienced in childhood, but depending on our personality types and what our environments are like now, it can be done though. And I think you can get yourself to a place of real healing and where you can also help others. And so that's what I love about this, because we're all coming to talk about what we've struggled with and hopefully help other people.
Oh, yes, thank you so much. And Megan's book is called The End of Me. And I highly, highly recommend that you also get her book. Her story is incredible. And as you can hear and see just by what she has said, she's so full of insight and love and wisdom. So any opportunity that I get to rub shoulders with Megan, I am there. So I'm honored that you've chosen. I know you're very busy, also to come and spend this time. All of you guys, it's just literally makes me feel so warm and fuzzy inside. And I love it. And I love you guys. And let us first talk about what people pleasing is, because as I've been doing more of this people pleasing thing, I'm realizing like, I don't want it to come across like, hey, let's all be selfish people. Let's not make anyone happy. And that's kind of the opposite of what I'm saying with the kicking the people pleasing habit. It's not that we don't want to be nice and kind and generous and loving and, you know, serving others people, because I know that I want to be like that. And I know that each of you on this call want to be like that. So that's not what we're saying at all. The people pleasing I'm talking about is when we are giving to others at the expense, at the detriment to our own well-being, our own maybe morals, our own values, what we hold dear. It's when we do things to get approval and validation and this feeling of being loved, when we're doing things out of that place of lack in our own heart and soul. So do any of you have anything else that you want to say about this distinction between being truly generous and loving and kind, which we do want to be, we want to be those people, and being a people pleaser that is doing certain things from a place of lack and to actually get something instead of to give something? Does anybody else have any comments on that?
I'll say something about that. I think for many years I felt, not heard. I was very sensitive, and that would actually turn people away sometimes that I cared about, because I had big emotions, and I just had a lot of feelings of low self-worth. And when I helped others or made others happy, they treated me better. And I then would feel better because I would oh, they care. So I would give things away to friends. I would, I would forget, things that were important to me that I wanted to do so that other people could get their needs met, because I wanted them to love me. I wanted for them to approve of me. And I think it really came from a place of really low self-worth, low self-esteem. And I think that when you begin to find yourself and what works for you, it's also honoring your relationships with people. Because when you do things for others, or you say yes and really mean it and want to, or when you express boundaries, like, no, I'm not able to do that, I have some things I have to take care of, maybe next time. It's a way of honoring your relationship with them as well. Because if you just say yes all the time, that's really not coming from a place of authenticity. So it's really important to honor yourself, and that way, they're getting an authentic relationship, and the situation is more authentic when it's coming from a place of, I do care, I want to help, but I'm not going to overextend myself just so you like me and care about me. Because then if they don't reciprocate, or if they don't give you that love and appreciation, then you have some resentments that may build up. So it can lead into kind of toxicity, which
Right.
So that's kind of my comment on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think what shocked me the most is I actually was very self-righteous in my people pleasing early on, where I was like, look what a great, kind, amazing person I am. But I didn't have the awareness of why I was doing those things. And so in reality, I actually was manipulating a bit. And I don't know if lying is too strong a term, because I didn't know I was doing that. But truly, it was a manipulation of sorts that I was engaging in, and it was unconscious. I didn't realize that that's what I was doing until much, much later, where I was like, wait a minute. So I actually, we hear about putting the oxygen mask on yourself first in the airplane. And the other day we were watching The Good Doctor. Have you guys seen the show?
Yes.
Okay. It's a cute little show. And the guy was saying another analogy, which is when they do or they were talking about the heart, and that the heart pumps blood to itself first, and then it distributes it to the rest of the body, which I was like, oh my gosh, that's another amazing analogy of coming from a place of abundance, filling our own cup first, to then be able to say yes from that place that's genuine, and hey, I really want to do that, and to love and to give. And it's like this beautiful overflow, as opposed to this desert land that's like craving and seeking validation, and like, love me, someone please, I'll do this for you, I'll do that, and it's all with this intent of love me, fill the void.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to kind of distinguish those things. And maybe I just felt like I needed to say it, because we do want to be those people. We want to show up and serve and love and be kind. We just need to make sure to take care of ourselves, of our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual beings, so that then we have to give to others from a genuine place, like you were saying. So I want to dive into each of your, oh my gosh, because time is flying by. So you guys are each in 3 different chapters in the book. So we're going to start with Julia, because you are in the 3rd chapter, which is because there's 6 steps in this book to kicking the people-pleasing habit. The first step is to choose awareness. The second step, which is a really big one, is to identify and heal emotional wounds. And the third step is to cultivate and develop self-love in our lives. And so, Julia, I put you in the cultivate and develop self-love chapter. So why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about your background and your journey with people pleasing?
I think it all started when I was very, very little. I have two younger sisters, and my parents were both mentally ill. And they told us the entire time we were growing up that they didn't want girls, they wanted boys. And they called us names and they put us down, and nothing we did ever made them happy. And so I think that's where I started love and validation. And it just sort of grew throughout my life, where everything that I did, no matter what, I would volunteer to do anything anyone asked, because it was a chance to have someone say you did a good job, or you're a decent person, or whatever, because I wasn't getting that at home. And my first husband, when I married him, he insulted me. He was mean and nasty and just not a nice person. He was a compulsive gambler. And I married him anyway because my parents convinced me I wasn't going to meet anybody else who would ever love me. So every job that I ever had, I volunteered for everything. I did projects nobody else wanted. I volunteered to help out with anything that anybody asked, any club or anything that my kids were in. If they needed somebody to help, I always jumped in and helped. And since speaking to you and reading your book, I've started to trust my instincts a little more, my intuition. And there have been so many times in my whole life where I've volunteered for something and then I get this feeling in the pit of my stomach that I shouldn't have done that. That's not something I want to do. You know, why am I doing this? But I would do it anyway and resent it. And now I'm trying to pay attention to those feelings when they come up, because as you said, there are a lot of things that you volunteer for that you really do want to do, that are, you know, good things that are good for people and stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that I volunteer for and have in the past that just I should have said no to. So I'm working on that. I'm really working on that. And I divorced my first husband. I'm married to my second husband almost 19 years now, and he's wonderful. He's nothing like my first husband. So I get a lot of validation from him, and that's been wonderful. So.
And talk a little bit about the surgery, because I think that's the part that I put in the book with the.
Oh, yeah, this has been hard. I fell trying to save my dog in September and completely tore my rotator cuff. And I had to have surgery at the end of January. So basically my right arm, I haven't been able to use it since. The way they do full rotator cuff surgery now is you're not allowed to move your arm for up to 12 weeks after surgery. So it's all passive movement. So all these things that I've done for my whole life, I can't do now because I can't use my right arm. And so I had to depend on my husband to do all the things that I was used to doing for him. And so this has really been eye-opening. I'm on week 9 right now. And my husband has been doing everything. I mean, clear from helping me shower to using the bathroom. I mean, just stuff that I never in a million years thought I would ever let anybody help me with. And he's done all the cooking and everything. So it's really been a big change, but it's making me sit down and allow someone else to do for me for a change, and realize I don't have to do everything. So yeah,
Yes.
it's been a big change.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, I know that recovery is not easy, and that sometimes it's like these really painful things that kind of shake us awake in a sense, and where we go, wait a minute, I've been living this certain way, and now I want to change that. I want to move from that place. So I'm really glad that you do have a supportive partner who is stepping up, and that you're able to say, no, I can't do that. And no, and even for this meeting, I was very clear, do not say yes to unless you truly want to be here. You will not hurt my feelings. Thank you, Julia. You're amazing.
Oh,
And then
thank you.
Angela, you are in chapter 5, which is I titled it Decide and Do.
Thank you. Right here. Great.
There it is, where it's making a commitment and then taking action. And I really felt like you should be included in that chapter based on your past, what your life was like, and how you decided that you were going to change this. I want you to tell people the steps that it took, and then obviously we know kind of where you are now, but take us through those beginning years of what it was like.
Okay, and I will be brief because I know we're heading up on time. I went on a journey of, perfection. I wanted to look perfect, be perfect, everything around me be perfect, have the perfect little life that everyone says you're supposed to have. I really kind of put any dreams or passions that I had before on the back burner, got married, the kids, the house. And I tried to paint a picture and, do all the parties, do all the things you're supposed to do. But I really was miserable. It wasn't, there was something inside of me that was like, this isn't really, I don't really want to be, sorry if anybody watches it, is like, that was an ex-husband, but I don't want to be married to this person. And I've had more than one ex-husband. I'm single now, and it's good for me. It's good to be alone and to be, not relying on someone else for not that I'm saying relying on somebody, Julia, you're very lucky. You're very blessed to have that, but it was good for me to be not with a man for a while. I started to drink to deal with, I could do anything if I had a little buzz going. And it went from a little bit to a lot to every day, to feeling sick in the morning and having a little bit to drink before work. It got very bad. Long story short, everything I thought it was giving to me, like that perfect personality, that presentation, that ability to do a lot, to be on, like I thought I had to be for everyone. It tore me down. I couldn't do anything. I ended up just drinking, not going to work for a while, almost lost my job. And I got so bad I had to go into rehab, actually, and that was 10 years ago. Since then, I've been 10 years sober. And I did a 12-step program where you really do a lot of soul searching and digging. You look at past traumas. A lot of it's hereditary too. I can't blame it just on trauma or environmental factors, but it really, I had to get real. I had to get down to the nitty gritty and really look at myself again. Since then I live in a much smaller house. I'm saving money so I could really pursue my dreams. And the things that were important to me before are not so important to me anymore. What's important to me is that I'm true to myself, and I'm true to the people that I love and that love me. And a lot of prayer is involved as well, and working on gratitude and self-care. It's so important. So my life is 100 times better now, and close to 100 times different. But so much has happened in that 10 years. Unbelievable, wonderful things. And yeah, it's a journey. It really is. And I have this thing on my refrigerator: be kind, but with spine. So I kind of like that, about boundaries, and say what you mean, but don't say it mean, but don't just sit there and say yes, So anyway, that was kind of a little bit about my journey.
Oh my goodness. And I love that quote that you shared with me about don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. I was like, dang, that is a visual you know, of kind of what we're talking about. Like, yes, you want to keep someone else warm, but do you do it by setting yourself on fire where you're literally dying because you're not taking care of yourself? No, that's not the way we want to go about doing it. So I love that you mentioned that, and that you're now going to be a therapist and help other people, is amazing. And then also, everybody go see First Date. It is on Netflix. Angela's in it, and a couple other friends of ours that are amazing.
It's actually on Prime Video and Hulu. Yeah, I play a criminal and I cuss a lot. I'm a whole different kind of person than I am in real life, but boy, was it cathartic. I was able to let out a lot of steam.
Oh yes. No, you were
Yeah.
impressively like, dang girl. Yeah, that role was probably very, very fun to play. Okay, so it's not, what is it? Hulu and
Prime Video.
Prime
And the
Video.
thing,
Okay.
find yourself again, and what's really important to you, you find your dreams and passions again. I always loved it when I was younger and I forgot, and I'm back into acting. I love it. I forgot, and I found myself and my voice, and yeah, so it's important to really, you can't count on other people for your own self-worth. You can find plenty of it in here.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Angela, for sharing. And then Megan, you are in the last chapter, which is to envision and step into your highest self. And like I said before, your story is incredible and amazing. So take us on a little bit of your journey and how that fits into people pleasing, and what things you've done to move through and to step more and more into your highest self.
Hot on the heels, and I wasn't planning this at all, but because Angela just mentioned this, so this is sparkling water, but I drink it in a wine glass because I love the taste. I love, the taste of all bubbly things, but I am trying to do less, if not none, of those things, because my highest self lately has been telling me that this is not something you need to have every day, or as often as pandemic-induced panic was bringing into my life. So that's like a recent work in progress thing that I'm just taking a harder look at what is really serving me and what is not. And so I still enjoy something sparkly and that tastes good, but I'm like doing it in a different way, which has nothing to do with what we were talking about in the book, but I feel like it relates to this conversation about higher self, and my higher self has recently been sharing that message with me. So thank you, Angela. Actually, you brought that out in a way that was unexpected for me. So I would say, so based on my book, I want to be brief because I know we're approaching our time here. The end of me is about 3 times that I died, that my heart physically stopped. And I came back to consciousness and back to take a new steering point in my life. After that point, doing yoga teacher training, Reiki training, anything that was really working with the energy of the body, and listening to that higher self, I feel like it was a training, and listening to that higher self allowed me to envision myself as the highest version of myself. And that's something that when I teach classes or when I meet with people and do Reiki with them, I ask them to visualize, like, what does that little voice say to you? And it can be a big voice too, not letting it stay small, and try to listen to the wisdom that it's imparting to you. Just like you just said, you're like, it's all in here, but we have to give it the space. And for some of us, that means like not letting alcohol blur that voice, or too much caffeine, or too much people pleasing. Like, it's a drug too. And I feel like a lot of my life, both my biological parents died when I was very young, and I lived in different households growing up. So there's a lot of things biologically and environmentally that propensated, is that the right word, me into wanting to make people happy, because I wanted to feel safe and loved and secure, right? We all have our story. And so that manifests in different ways. So for me, the ticket out of that, and it's a lifelong process. It didn't just like happen once that I had this vision that Angela talks about in her book. It's something I have to keep coming back to in the little everyday things. A real life small example that I try to remind myself when I'm driving, and you let somebody in, and if they like don't say thank you, I used to, or a little wave, I used to get this all like, you're welcome. You know, you get like indignant, right? That they didn't say thank you. That's my little reminder that it's like, no, you're just letting that person in because they really want to be let in. You don't need to get anything back from that. And so that little small example serves to remind me when there's bigger things that like, am I doing that? What you've all said, like, did I really want to do that? Because it feels really good when you really want to do something for somebody. It feels amazing. You don't even think about anything else about how good it felt to do that. And when it's not that thing, then it, you know, it feels icky. You're just like, why did I do that? You know, it feels bad. So anyway, that's
I love that because it's, and a lot of you have mentioned this, the checking in with our intuition, with that small voice inside of us that a lot of times, if we're running too quickly around in life, we'll miss it. And so that's why I love the yoga concept of balancing effort with ease. Because yes, it's the take action and the do things, but so many times we shy away from sitting in stillness and having those moments of meditation or quiet time or that time to reflect. And that is when that intuition can really speak to us. And so just to start to become in tune and to set aside little bits of time to really check in with ourselves, and I think is really important in this whole process. So as we close up, are there any last words, like inspiration for people who are in the midst of this drug, this tendency, this habit, this, for me, it was an addiction or it was compulsive. But what's something that you guys want to say or share as just a means of encouraging someone else who might be just like really in the trenches right now, struggling with this?
I probably tell people to go back, and I mentioned this in the book, but I really mean it in everyday life. The last time you really felt good about yourself, and like based on a memory, something you did, the way you felt, and like how that really feels when something truly feels good versus when you're expecting a different result. Or just when you have expectation. It's not about lowering expectation, it's more about like almost trying to eradicate it if possible.
Totally. Yeah, and like Angela was saying, I love that too about the following your dreams, your passion, walking through the fear of those things. Because as we walk through our fears, we build self-confidence and we build this respect for ourselves where we start going, dang, I know how scared I was and I did that anyway, and that was freaking awesome. And you know, and the next time we do it, and the next time we start building up our own love and respect and validation for ourselves, so that then we're not looking for other people to tell us how amazing we are. We just kind of start knowing that and believing that for ourselves. So any last words, Julia or Angela, before we wrap up here?
Just for people to trust their intuition. It's really been eye-opening to start doing that, because in the past I've gone to do something and felt like I shouldn't do it, but I've done it anyway, and it never turns out quite the way you expect it to. So just trust your gut and your intuition when it comes to things like that. You know,
Right. And if you know you're pushing too hard, same thing, if you feel like I just shouldn't do this, I'm pushing too hard, you have to remind yourself it's okay to just know and to take care of yourself. And if someone's going to be disappointed and mad at you about it, then they're not honoring you like you need to honor you. And you aren't. People are mad like you think. Oh no, what are they going to think of me? I'm going to let them down, etc., etc. It's usually not even that. That's usually not even the case.
Yeah, and don't forget to
Yeah.
read the book. And I mean, that's the catalyst for this conversation, but like, I'm reading this and I'm like, I'm gonna need to read this again. I'm gonna need to remind myself, like all the examples that you give throughout it, and your personal nuggets too, Janice, like what you went through is, you're very honest and real with your reader. You're not out here being like, this is what you need to do. You've lived it and walked it as a real person, and you write it and talk about it like a real person too. So, thank you.
Thank you. Powerful story that you have.
I appreciate that. And there definitely is that fear element of putting our stories out there, of opening ourselves up to judgment or criticism. But at the end of the day, for me at least, my story being held inside felt like poison to my soul. And so as uncomfortable as it was and is sometimes, speaking our truths is a really powerful way to embrace authenticity and to stand up and say, hey, this is me. This is what I've gone through. These are my thoughts, my feelings, as best I can tell, because I'm sure there's still things that I'm blinded to. It's kind of like that onion. We peel back a layer and then there's something else. And then we peel and we're like, oh, there's this. Even for me to be able to say, man, I struggle with insecurity and jealousy. Whoa, those were like really hard things to say at the beginning. And now I've just kind of, there's no more shame in it. It's like, I feel more than anything compassion for that little girl, because I know what things I went through, just like you each went through your difficult times in life. So if the more we can have compassion and love for our younger selves, the more we can acknowledge what holds us back now, and then have the awareness to be able to heal those things and walk through them and truly become the best versions of ourselves and truly be able to love from this just like genuine, soulful, authentic place. And so that's what I want for my life, and in whatever way I can encourage other people to do the same and to step out of that prison of fear and people pleasing. That is what I want to do. So thank you each so much for being the lights that you are in this world and showing up, because showing up literally is, like they say, half the battle or more. We just show up, and you guys showed up, and you showed up for me. So I just love and appreciate you guys, and I hope we can collaborate and do more things in the future. I would absolutely love that, and to support you guys on your individual journeys, whatever that looks like. So thank you again. Have a wonderful evening. Mwah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, Janice.